पहले हम आपकी इंट्रोडक्शन Hello sir, good morning sir.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, this is Dr. Rakesh from Kurukshetra University, and I want to know about IELTS sir. Please, would you like to tell me?
Actually, myself, Kulvinder Singh Prat. I'm from locality. The name of this institute is Richmond IELTS. So actually, we are continually. I can say that we are teaching here for like 6 or 7 months, and we are continuously actually teaching many students who are like really interested in going abroad. Some of them actually have brilliant score that I was actually not sure about, and for my surprise, actually Principal Singh, he got 6.5 band recently, and he was a bright student. Actually, he was expecting more, and he was making so much efforts. Like he was studying around like 4 or 5 hours a minimum on his own, and other than that, he was also like coming here for speaking, because other things he was like doing on his own. So uh, I want to talk about another student also. This week got, she was actually doing currently she's actually doing MPA in Canada, and I think she got 6.5 band. Yes, I think she got 6.5 band, and in speaking she got 7 band. So it was really interesting for me to teaching many students, because I have like as I already told you, like I'm having a bizarre interest in these things, because I was not an English student from the start, as I already told you that I was I was a Hindi medium student. So I was the
Your, your flow of English is really, it seems like a foreigner interested and foreigner experienced embassy interview kind of samples and models you are providing here in this
Sir,
locality.
I cannot say those set of words, because I know my ability very well, so I don't think that I'm capable of those things. But I can surely say this thing that currently I'm teaching my students how to like behave in English. The most largest problem for every single student nowadays is they are actually speaking English but not feeling.
Yes.
Not feeling what is the feel of those words.
Yes.
If we are speaking in our native languages, we feel like we actually portray the feelings in that specific language. For instance, I want to explain about some certain things, like uh, the intonation, and very interesting thing is intonation, and the stress we provide to a single word in sentence.
Rise and fall.
Rise and fall. It completely change the meaning of that sentence, and student actually don't like focus on those kind of things.
It needs sir speaking practices to our scholars and learners. Really, sir, it is my personal experience that I have conducted a lot of interviews in IELTS institutes, especially. Then, sir, how we can make them able natural? You are talking
Actually,
about
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is a very important thing for a student to learn this thing in proper way, because normally students learn this thing in every single institute, and sometime on YouTube. They learn this thing like we have to answer. They try to make like fabricate an answer. They fabricate answer in thin air. That is the main problem for them, because they do not actually have a feeling attached to that specific answer. Okay, so if we want to like create a meaningful and feelingful answer, it means we have to like actually derive that answer from our own experiences. So that's how we can like use that feeling in our, like we can incorporate that properly in answer. Like for example, if I wanna if I wanna tell you like instant recently, I told a student that he should talk about his unpleasant experience that he was having recently, because he ordered a thing online and shoes. Actually, he bought a shoes and the size was, they messed up. They messed up actually. So I asked him in like our native language first. So he was telling like, I think this was not good and that and because I was constantly actually recording that thing for him, and I asked this question, that same question to him like in English. The pitch actually was the constant pitch he was speaking in English, and that was the problem for them. Every student have like the same problem, because they do not like use the pitch.
It happens usually with the native speakers of India.
Yes, it is actually the largest problem for a native native Indian people, like native Indian people to like speak. When they try to like speak in English, they actually do not use the pitch. They like use a single pitch for every single sentence. That is the main problem for them.
Intonation problem.
Intonation. Yes, sir. Yes, yes. So that.
So simply they have crammed some.
Actually, they are cramming. Yes, sir. That is the main problem. That is the most like I can like saddest thing of IELTS is that actually students are like trying to cram. They do not come here to like actually understand the language, and actually like they do not want to gain an ability to speak to foreigner and rather experience those things.
English medium students are being provided some drills and cramming sort kind of things.
So not only that, so actually Indian medium students are all the same.
Yes.
Actually, students in general in India is all they only focus on cramming.
Really,
Even some of the like speaking courses.
Concept should made be clear.
Yes, sir, for sure, sir, for sure. Because those things are important. Like even for grammar.
Yes, sir.
Even for grammar, I know that the thing very well. Like grammar is important, but grammar is a basic building block for English. But still, student lag behind in that criteria.
Yes.
Even from do not want to like disclose the name of that institute, but a student came to me recently and he was having issues with his grammar, and I actually asked him like, you have with English, sir. I have the answer of that student was like surprising, because he was like I don't think that I should say surprising. It was shocking. It was shocking, sir, because he said that I have studied English like in a well-respected institute for 3 months, and he don't know the proper like way of even he cannot like distinguish those two sentences which were like one was having like a simple past tense, and second one was the present perfect tense. Like these are the basic things that one should like learn firstly.
Yes.
And the saddest part is like many institutes are even practicing this thing, like they are trying to make them cram.
Yes, sir. Simply simple things they are unable to define. Sometimes I ask from them define your mobile, your favorite things that
Actually,
you
sir,
have.
whenever I conduct any speaking in my classroom,
Yes.
I never ask them any question from Makkad book or recent exam. Nothing. I ask them like basic question which are important to their life. Like in any like examination, examiner never asks us questions which are related to our personal life or something like that. But I prefer to ask those kind of questions, because in those situations we tend to add like feelings to our answers.
Imagination is the best technology for providing naturality in
For
language.
sure, sir, for sure.
And
So-
if they do not, until and unless they do not follow the path of imagination, how much they can cram and imitate others?
Sir, I always try to like teach them about not only English. Actually, I'm that kind of person who like try to teach everything, every single thing that I have learned over the years. So if they want, like for instance, if like in like writing task, if they want like for example like if they want technological thing,
Yes, sir.
I give them examples like for instance Tesla. Okay, Tesla car company, know the Nikola Tesla scientist. Other than that, if they want to like have an idol person in the task, I suggest them like Michael Faraday, Tesla. the man who make AC current. So I give them examples of those those students. I provide those students with the data that they need actually. So in that situation, I tend to provide them that data that they can remember, but like response of every single student is not the same.
Sir, as per my experiences, I have noted down this thing that reading the passage is the commonest concept of IELTS. As far as I think for the students,
So,
how can they do in the read, sir?
so there are many ways. Actually, first is that I have learned when I was preparing that use elimination. Like many students do not eliminate the task. Actually, for example, in questions in which there are many paragraphs are provided and list of headings, for specifically list of headings, when they have to list some headings to the paragraphs, in that situation student tend to do not cross the numbers which they have already given to a paragraph.
Yes.
It means they are they are finding every heading for every paragraph. They are scrolling through every 8 or 9 headings.
Digital
And
information they try to get from.
Actually, sir, this is it is a technical thing that every student have to learn. That other than that, actually, students should also focus on the preference, the time that they give to a question. Sometimes, for example, list of heading. The probability of getting all of them right
Yes.
is around 40%, 40 or 50% for every single student. Talking about those ideal students, but for average student, the probability of getting a perfect score is around 40 or 50%. And on the other hand, if we talk about fill in the blanks and other kind of questions, true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, in those questions, student can easily get a better score. Like they can, if they contribute that question, and they easily get I think the probability of getting all the questions right is around 70%. So so in this situation, every student have to focus on the area or focus on the question that they actually want to solve.
Yes, sir.
That is the main problem for every student, that they are not focusing on the proper question. Like if they are finding any question really complex to understand,
Yes.
it means they should actually skip that question, because in out of 40 questions they have only need around 30 or 26, 24, as they actually in what situation they are. But if they get 30, it means around 7 band.
Yes.
So for that I can say that skip some questions if you find them really complex.
What happens with students of speaking English? It is my experience that I have noted down, sir. What should they think after completing their all modules from the IELTS Institute? How they can motivate themselves and how they can be more confident in speaking while appearing in
Qualifying.
Yes, sir.
So there are many things. First thing, actually, student believe this. I can say I cannot properly explain that this phenomena, but student make them believe their own self that they are not capable of doing that specific task. For example, speaking, that they are not able to speak,
Yes.
but they do not understand that if we want to get even 6 or 7 bands, even 7 band, we do not have to be perfect, and nobody can be. Even the people who are getting 9 band, they are also making minor mistakes.
Definitely, sir. So how
Because-
they can be confident in
So
appearing?
that is the thing that they have to keep in their mind. Nobody is perfect, and they do not have to be perfect.
Yes, sir.
They should at least just consider speaking.
Consider
Whenever a student make a mistake, they just go blank. That is the main problem of every single student, that they just, when they make mistake, they go blank. That is the main problem of every student. We should respectively avoid this problem. The main problem of a student is they do not have self-confidence.
Yes, so self-confidence does matter while appearing in interview, whether they have studied all kind of literature of IELTS.
So knowledge
At
cannot.
random, any topic may be put by the examiner.
So
Interview.
knowledge, yes sir, for sure. Knowledge we cannot like atone every single part of knowledge.
Yes.
Even for example, for vocabulary, there are 2 billion words in English language,
Yes.
and one cannot learn those all. But still, like self confidence is the thing that it like for example, for me, I'm not perfect in English, but I know for sure that if a foreigner come to me and ask the directions, ask any question related to my life or
Yes.
anything that they want to ask me, I can properly answer that.
Yes.
So that is confidence, and that should be there.
So as for the confidence, I would like to suggest our Indians to be aware about their physical body language
For
and
sure, sir.
for
They,
their posture and
actually,
gesture as well.
yes, sir, for sure. Actually, student do not like portray the attitude that should be there. Like, for example, when we are talking, we are being really casual, and English is not our native language, but still we are casual. So that is the thing that they are not having. Students like used to I think every student who are not like student who are not getting better score in speaking module, they are actually really hesitant, as well as they are not correctly seated in their seat. They are like hanging from the edge of the chair. Those kind of problems. And examiner can see through their fear. Like they know for sure that this student is not this student not feeling easy or comfortable with speaking English.
Simply, sir, if a examiner asks this question in the interview, define your favorite watch, then how a student should define it, sir?
Actually, sir, there are many things. There are many kind of question related to the watch. But if this is a like introduction question in starting, so it means we have to answer like 3 or 4 lines of answer. Okay. So in that situation, we have to describe the appearance of that watch. Firstly, it is a metal watch. Secondly, the dials of this watch is colored blue, and I am having this watch from my from 5 years ago, because my father actually gifted me. Or we can actually skip this part and also say that actually this watch is your watch is in my family from like 100 years. My great grandfather actually bought this watch.
I bought it 100 years ago.
We cannot say that because we are not 100 years old, but
just imagining, sir.
yeah. So sir,
As for the imagination, sir,
imagination is important, but student have to keep in mind that they have to answer relevantly.
so sometimes the students are asked this question by the interviewer that can you drive car, and a person is unable to drive car. Should he accept that? Can he drive?
He should be actually honest. First thing, she should be honest. Actually, so they can answer
So in
this.
the IELTS training, as per my experiences, I have noted down this thing that students is to imagine about the things.
So it is not necessary that we have to like imagine things. It is necessary to be honest, as well as we have to know the art of fabricating answers. These are 2 different things. We cannot say that I lied. I can say that I fabricated the story out of my own proper experience. Like, for example, I know how to drive, but if I want to answer like I don't know how to drive, so my answer will be like that. Sir, currently I don't think that I'm able to drive, because recently my father was teaching me on the outskirts of my city, but at that time I was not able to like properly learn the basics of the car, and I was like pushing the accelerator too much and those kind of things. But currently I'm progressing day by day, and I think in 2 or 3 months I will be able to drive. So that kind of answer they can provide. They cannot say straight up no.
Yes, sir.
They have to-
because there will not be the ideas in their mind. Ideas beginning of
Yes. For instance, if they don't know how to drive, they can say that, sir, I don't know how to drive, but my brother is teaching me, So in the evening we actually visit the we can say that visit the outskirts of my
Kind of fabrication.
kind of fabrication is needed, but we have to like start the answer from reality.
Yes.
That is the most important thing. Okay.
So simply, sometimes we ask from the students, where is your hometown? And students belongs to any village and any remote areas. If there is no facilities, then he feels ashamed in speaking about his.
So they can totally avoid
Should
it.
he imagine?
Sir, they have to focus on one thing. They have to clear their mind. Firstly, they have to focus that what is the address provided on our passport.
Yes, yes.
For example, in my passport, my address is provided, like for example, Tigbi. So I cannot say that I live in Hanumangarh, but I can fabricate this answer in this way. For example, examiner don't know how far Tigbi is to Hanumangarh.
Yes.
So actually, my answer will be like this. Actually, I live in a countryside area called Tigbi, and it is situated. It is in, no, in outskirts.
Hanumangarh district.
Hanumangarh district. No, sir, if I want to like change it properly,
Yes.
I can also say this thing like I live in a countryside area called Tigbi. It is near the city part of Hanumangarh.
Yes.
It is near the city part of Hanumangarh in northern Rajasthan.
Yes.
So I can say also that because examiner don't know the distance between
Way of
Hanumangarh
answering is artistically.
and artistically. Yes, sir. We can fabricate our answer a little bit, but we have to like be honest with the data that we are having.
Certainly, sir, it happens in school students also that they have already written and read sometimes of short stories, essays, how to write. On the imagination based, they have written a lot of compositional parts.
For sure, sir, imagination is the key of success.
Yes.
This is important thing. I know for sure, and I actually suggest students to
Yes.
imagine firstly.
Yes.
But sir, imagination actually is a like imagination can be explosive.
Yes.
When we imagine something, the stream of that imagination can go any direction. So we have to direct our imagination towards a point where we want.
Yes.
For example, in a writing task, we want we want to like write down a task in positive way, like how technology can improve medical facilities
Yes.
or like medical sector. How can be improved by the help of technology? In this situation, if we think about technology, first thing comes to our mind like mobile phones.
Mobile phone, yes.
Okay, so mobile phone actually, some believe that the blue light of our phones actually like disturbing the sleeping cycle of our sleeping cycle, and it means like it is harming us in some way.
Yes.
So the objective was the objective of this question was the positive things, and our mind is going towards the negative things. We have to like focus this on positively, like nanotechnology.
Yes.
Nano sutures, many other things are like already built, like ultrasound, sonographies, CT scans. So these are the technological advancement that have been.
Definitely, sir, our body is itself imitated by the artist of the different kind of mechanics. How our human body is important in understanding first before talking about the technology, digital,
Sir,
electronic.
actually there are many things which cannot be understood.
Yes.
For sure, sir. Actually, as I'm a science student, being a student of science stream, so actually I'm really fascinated about technology. But still, technology, till to this day, technology cannot understand how our brain can hold a consciousness. Because a computer can imitate every single thing, but we cannot create a consciousness.
Consciousness.
Okay.
Consciousness
So,
does matter.
consciousness does matter. So that's why I'm saying that we cannot like find every single thing even in our human body. For example, we are like humans are actually going on the moon, and like there are Mars mission, there are like they will be performed in near future, but we still don't know about our oceans.
So in this present days, our scholars are using YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all social media kind of things they are using.
For sure.
They are busy on websites as well. So this technology is so advanced and speedy. Um, can it be compared to our human mind?
Sir, human mind is actually superior to every single technology that we are having currently, because in my perspective, the thing that can create another thing is important. Firstly. Secondly, yes, these technologies are actually manipulating our minds. Like for example, I was actually we were speaking talking about like the specific topic machine learning. Actually, I'm having interest in those kind of things, so that's why I know this thing properly. That every single app, for example, like Instagram Reels, YouTube, and those kind of things, they actually collect data from us, like what kind of things we click on, what kind of things we are interested in. So they collect our data and provide us those kind of videos that we like. For example, if we scroll through our phone in YouTube or any kind of this kind of app, in those things, that every single thing is supposed to be liked by you. Supposed to be. Not, I don't think that you will like every single thing, but supposed to be liked by yourself. But in comparison, my phone is completely different from yours, because this is like managed by that AI and machine learning, that every single person is every single individual is different, and their preference is different. That's why I think these kind of technologies are like dangerous for students, because they do not know the negative effects that they are that are having. They do not know this thing now, but in future they will experience drastic change in their behaviors.
Sometimes, sir, we ask some questions from the students related to their native town and role model.
Yes.
And if they are to suppose about the role model, and they speak about the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is the present Prime Minister of our country, and they imagine that he is our role model, then how can he perform in interview?
The role model thing is, I don't think that is this thing is that significant, because every single person can be our role model.
Anyone can be.
Anyone can be role model. Yes, sir, for sure. Because, for example, Ravi Singh Khalsa, the founder of Khalsa.
Yes, sir.
I actually really found him really inspiring. So that's why he's my idol. My grandfather built and like he bought farming land for us. Like he got only 20 acres of land, and now we get like 60 acres of land. He created something for us. He can be idol for me.
Any family member can be.
For sure, sir. Every single person, even a person who is like picking garbage, that can be idol, because he is doing something to improve environment or improve someone's life. Eco-friendly. So for sure, sir, every single person can be our idol. It doesn't matter they are prime minister or a garbage.
President and prime minister today.
No,
these are the.
you cannot like.
So if we talk about the present scenario, she has become the 15th president of our democratic India. Then how she is inspiring and encouraging to empowering our women in the society and villages.
Sir, actually politics is the thing that I try to avoid, because every single thing related to this kind of topics can be controversial.
Yes.
So every single person have different views. You can have your own and I can have mine. But sometime, like this situation, we don't feel like we should disclose our answers.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna say one single thing that no comments on that.
Yes. So sometimes if I ask from the students that who is your role model, and he says the starter, winner, initiator of this Sikhism, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, then can he explain that personality?
For sure,
How
for sure.
can- how-
Because sir, actually, if we want to like answer this question, it means we have to like determine many things in our brain, like who were the gods, who were our Sikh gurus. They were not gods; they were humans.
Yes.
They were humans, but they had the consciousness of God. So this is very tricky thing, sir. That's why we can explain every single thing. That's why we can say those are my idols. Lord Rama, for Hindus, Lord Rama can be inspirational, can be their idol,
Yes.
because he was not a god. He was a human
Human
having consciousness of God.
consciousness. Yes, the consciousness does matter.
Consciousness does matter, sir. So he was actually, but like for example, whom we consider like God, the God who cannot be born, cannot die. Who is God? We can define God by this thing.
Energy neither can be created,
Created nor can be.
Yes.
Yes. The same thing. For example, if we like for Lord Krishna and Lord Rama, we see that they were actually born. It means
They were
having,
incarnated.
they are reincarnated. They were having human bodies. They were gods. I'm not saying that they were humans. They were gods, but they were having human bodies.
Human bodies.
So therefore, they can be considered as idols.
Becoming a true patriotic and nationalistics, should they speak about this Lord Rama, Lord Krishna?
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because my perspective about my religion or every single religion doesn't matter. What
Sometimes
matters?
in embassy these questions are asked from the interviewer that if the religion is not related to that nation, how our interviewing talkings and discussions will be important at that time.
Sir, if they exclude these things out, like for example, if they like disclose this thing earlier from all this conversation, if we disclose that religious things are not allowed, it means we can like go politic. We can go politically. Other than that, we can also like, if students do not want this hurdle, it means they should like use this trick. They should make a person idol of them
Yes.
who is like living with them. For example, grandparents,
Yes.
grandmother,
Anyone,
father,
anyone can be
neighbor, anyone can be our idol. So this doesn't matter. We have like, the problem comes after this. They have to define why they think that that person is considerably an idol to them. An ideal person. Why that person is idol? That is the main thing that every student have to understand firstly.
Yes.
That's why I was like explaining these things. Like we should like, for example, if no one like, if they do not have like anything, I can fabricate an answer for every single student. For example, describe, like take a name. For example, anyone, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, like, he is my idol. Why he is your idol? Actually, sir, he is not only a philanthropist.
Yes.
He is as well as an environmentalist. He have done many things in my neighborhood. He have planted countless trees and many other things. Okay, so for example, if I'm using this thing, this tactic, it means there is no Mr. Sharma that I have seen, but I know one thing, that philanthropy as well as the environmentalist, these two parts are important. If a person is having these two parts in their like behavior, it means we can consider them our idols. So I fabricated answer completely. That's how they can fabricate.
Everyone has a role model in his or her life for the betterment of his lifestyles and life skills.
Yes.
On what extent it is right if I say that I'm the staunch believer of Swami Vivekananda, who went to the USA in
So
1893.
he was the first person who told Western world that a person who came from India can be knowledgeable, can be really wise in comparison of them. So I actually respect him a lot.
Yes.
So I do not believe in only like religion also. I believe in the people who are like really respectful to their roots, because roots are really important. Roots, it means the tree is rotten.
It cannot erect properly.
We can't, like a tree cannot survive without its roots. How can humans?
Yes.
That is the most important thing. Like nowadays, like for most part, I don't think like students know that about Nalanda University.
Yes.
I was really fascinated when I like firstly when I was like around 10 or 12 years old. I firstly heard about this thing that Nalanda University was the world's first university
In India.
in India. Sorry for not for the world, but in India.
Yes.
Oldest I think it was in like
Nalanda and Takshila.
Takshila, yes.
These were
And the irony of that is like that Nalanda University was burned down
by attackers.
by attackers. I do not like associate with any religion, but
Situationally.
situationally it happens, and it was not ideal thing for not for even like whole world, because there were many things were in there which would be helpful. It could be helpful for nowadays, like what kind of disease, and like for example COVID.
Yes.
COVID. Every single person know this thing very well, that in India this like this disease was not like not in the like we can it was not in very dangerous in comparison of like Italy and other countries. Why it is? Because we have used many natural herbs in our like day-to-day life. For example, like turmeric is like very we can say that very important thing in our basic like household food needs. And this is the one of the best, I can say that best turmeric is the one of the best antiseptic things, antiseptic. And other than that, like there are many things which are really important. That's why I was saying this thing that a person should remember their roots, because Ayurveda was our root,
Yes.
our roots.
Our ancient culture and treatments,
Yes,
therapies
they were
more important than this modern allopathy.
for sure, sir. They didn't have side effects.
Yes.
They didn't have.
So it is the great message which is being provided to the worldly people through the
Sir,
national
these are all my view.
Yes.
I'm not the person who can like teach the world. I'm upholding my notion. I'm upholding like my viewpoint. But I'm thinking about this thing.
So it is customary that our India has been Guru Desh, teachers of the world.
It used to be nowadays.
Being a developing nation,
Being a developing nation, we have done many things, but actually we are like separated from our roots. That's why we are not able to like understand every single thing. For example, in my religion, for example, people used to have like huge metal balls to eat and those kind of things. So you know how much iron goes in our body with the using of those kind of balls.
Yes.
People used to use like copper and other things for cutlery and all that.
Yes.
So people are actually avoiding their own history. It means that's why we are losing every single thing nowadays.
Yes.
Because we are avoiding our own history, we are following others who don't know what they are doing.
Yes.
For example, Western world, they don't know what they are doing. because they don't have history.
Historically, sir,
Historically,
it doesn't matter.
it does matter. For example, every single thing, every single practice in India that we are having nowadays is actually known by the experiences of our ancestors. And nowadays, Western world feel like they have invented something new. If they invent something, they have invented something new. But those all things are like the day-to-day practices of India.
Yes.
For example, greeting someone without like making physical contact.
Yes.
That was like really wise thing to do for like this modern era. And Indians used to like use this thing for way much time. Then Western world didn't understand this thing firstly. But after COVID hit, like people were thinking they are like this thing is important. So that's why.
Sir, at the international level, Russia is trying to occupy Ukraine, and it is great interference in the nature. And our president has also visited different European nations for addressing.
So
and for
actually,
providing,
I'm having way bizarre view on this topic. So
sometimes this topic is asked, how will you tackle it?
So this will be not the topic of speaking as well as writing, because there are reasons. So it is present situation because it is too dark to ask a student. It is a too dark question to ask a student.
So this question is not simply asked from students.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Any problem, social problem, economic, environmental problem.
Be there,
Yes.
but any psychological, social,
Political.
or political problems will not be there, because for example politics and war, these kind of things are way too harsh for a student, so they don't ask these kind of questions at all.
Great experience, sir. I have collected. Nice to see you.
I have to make a call. Hello.